Hey, welcome to Manny's Live. Surprise, surprise, I am not Manny. I'm Samuel Favela, the digital director here at Manny's. I'm currently the lead organizer on Shared Spaces, and today's episode is going to be on that, Valencia Shared Spaces. We're going to talk about the stories of what's happening, how people have been affected, and what's come of it. Today we'll be interviewing Manny. He'll be in the hot seat. He'll be on the Lavender Couch. So enjoy. Hey everyone, I'm with Lisa Freire. She's one of the block captains here for Shared Spaces program. She's also the general manager at Westa Pecos. So Lisa, tell us a little bit how Westa Pecos was prior to the Shared Spaces program.
Yeah, I think, obviously we had closed down right away. We started doing to-goes a couple months into the shelter in place. It picked up a little bit, but I think people were still, kind of being cautious of money and being cautious of health protocols, and ordering food from somewhere that isn't your kitchen might have felt stressful, and people might have been nervous about that. Once we were able to put some seats outside, we did that, but the street was pretty quiet, and not a lot of traction, not a lot of traffic. So it was a little bit of a dark time for us, for sure.
So, the owner told you, hey, Lisa, the street's closing down. There's going to be a bunch of cones coming in, and we're going to be helping out. What was your initial thought?
My initial thought was excitement. I'm a helper and a doer, and I like to be a part of a team. So it was kind of a reason for me to get back motivated and get back excited about coming to work. Looking around at the neighbors kind of jumping in and everybody helping out was really inspiring and exciting, and seeing faces that we hadn't seen in a while and seeing staff members that we hadn't seen and getting people back into their jobs and back into routines felt really good.
So the Shared Spaces program for sure has brought business back to Valencia and has you guys thriving. What's one thing that the program has brought that you had no idea that was going to come about?
Yeah, so the thing that I was not anticipating was the community that we've got here on our block. I've always made it a point to go and kind of get to know all the business owners, because we share customers, we share passerbys, we share the street. But I think before this all happened, we were all kind of worried about our own segment of the sidewalk. And now, if I'm not working hard, they're not going to do well. And if they're not working hard, I'm not going to do well, because all these cones and all these new safety protocols and stuff, it takes all of us to show up every day, and making new friends and feeling this kind of sense of camaraderie has been so important and super inspiring.
I am here with the Panchitas family. What are your names?
I'm Doris Jr.
I'm Doris Campos.
Jacqueline Vargas.
Aren't they so cute? So, what is the history of Panchitas?
Panchitas es una pupusería que ha estado aquí por más de 30 años en la calle Misión, en la área de la Misión de San Francisco. Somos una pupusería que más que todo es más comunitaria, porque tenemos muchos años aquí y es casi la misma gente que viene todos los días. Entonces estamos aquí esperando siempre gente, turistas o no turistas, pero estamos presentes.
Okay. So Panchitas is older than both of you two? Yes? Yeah. So when did your mom rope you in and be like, okay, you're gonna make some pupusas?
I think since I can remember, we grew up in that restaurant, so we kind of just saw what they did, and whenever we wanted something, it's like, well, okay, well, come work. So it was a natural integration for me. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
For me, it was when I wanted a quince. She was to the point where, like, well, if you want it, you got to work for it. So that's when we started with the grill outside, and we just went off from there. I was 14, and I just never stopped. Weekends, weekdays, just enjoyed getting money at a young age, and now I'm here.
I'm saying, though, I love that so much. So how was business, and how was clientele before the pandemic, before March?
Antes de la pandemia la clientela era buenísima. Nosotros ni esperábamos que íbamos a tener estos momentos tan difíciles en el negocio. De hecho, tuvimos que cerrar en el mes de abril por lo mismo, que no había negocio, pero después de un mes sin abrir nos dimos cuenta que había mucha gente con hambre y decidimos volver a reabrir el negocio. Y no ha estado mejor que antes, hemos bajado como un 40%, pero a raíz de que estamos aquí en la calle, con la calle abierta, hemos subido las ventas también y hemos podido dar más empleos, contratar más gente y entonces tenemos familias que han podido pagar su renta a tiempo.
The pandemic hit, shelter in place happened. How worried were y'all?
We were very worried. We had two businesses right next to each other at that time, and rents were super high. We managed to get through it. I'd say maybe April, May, we saw a rise again. People, I think people were overcooking at home, and people wanted pupusas. So we had a lot of takeouts, before the whole outdoor dining.
So, oh, here she comes. Hi, Daz. Oh, love the outfit. It's so cute. So it's March, and you're getting word that shelter in place is going to happen and everybody has to stay home. How worried were you for your business? You've been working all your life for this. You've done it. Like, what went through your mind when you found out that you couldn't work?
She came from somewhere that, she came off surviving, you had to figure out how to survive. So she took off a month and she came up with ideas how I can, how can I survive? How can I survive from this, and she took that month and she came with all these ideas and, it's been good. It's been good for us. She kind of analyzed, what can bring us money and what can make us lose money. So.
And I'm going to say, it's not just her. It's all of us put together.
Yeah.
It's a team effort.
Because they're happy that they have. They don't care. They don't have nothing to do. But I said, no, we still got life. We still need money.
You know who you remind me of? Manny. Manny was just like that. I was like, all right, team, like we have to redo everything. And so he's like, okay, we got to keep going. We got to keep pushing. So maybe that's why you and Manny get along so well. So you had new plans, you're doing this, and then you find out that the street closure is happening. You're allowed to be here. Did Manny reach out to you about putting your truck here? How did you know to come over here, like when you found out that the street was closing?
Bueno, Manny vino y me dijo que había posibilidades de abrir la calle. Y yo le dije, fantástico, me encanta la idea. Y él me dijo, ¿estás listo para estar ahí? Le dije, el día que tú quieras. Y dice, ¿cuánto tiempo necesitas para prepararte? Le dije, yo necesito una semana y estoy lista. Y aparte de que estamos aquí, estamos contentos porque ha mejorado las ventas, ha mejorado la calle, ha mejorado el ambiente, tenemos una atmósfera más familiar.
So you like how it's going now. So what are all your ideas on how the program's going? Or thoughts?
I think it's fantastic. I definitely think it's something that should be permanent, whether it's once a month or, bi-weekly. I mean, okay,
For the whole life. Every day.
You hear that?
We're in this life for a moment. We have to enjoy it. We have to make money. We have to pay. We have to live. We have to give money to the people. Our family needs money, so we have to bring money and give money to people who need it. So
Heard that.
We can make it.
What are your thoughts? She's like, you need to get back to work, girl. Like you're working for La Quince.
I mean, yeah, I work the food truck, so I'm here. I'm here Friday through Sunday. I love it. I enjoy it. I always love the food truck scene better than the restaurant scene. It's quicker, it's faster. Like my mom and my sister are saying, it's fantastic. The street closure, I would love to keep it. If the city would let us, it would be great for not just for us, but just for the city. I don't think Valencia Street has something like this, something that, let's just people enjoy the moment. Let them enjoy San Francisco a bit,
So it's been great supporting this program and seeing people, being able to enjoy a closed street to cars. And just to see it, especially during the pandemic times, and just being able to see the joy in people's faces, being able to walk around safely, and also to support their favorite small business. So,
You usually do the 4 to 6 shift, and the 4 to 6 shift is a lot of work. It's a lot of sweating involved because you are these sets up. Just let us know, or let them know, how is set up every day from Thursday to Sunday?
Yeah, when I first set up, I think that's what sold me on it. I don't know, because the gyms are closed, I needed a little bit of a workout, so it's nice to get out here, feel some strain, get the muscles burning. It's really not that difficult though when you get down to it. Once you get the motions down, you know what you're doing. You've got people here that are willing to help you, so you're not doing all the heavy lifting yourself. It's simple.
Yeah, talk about that more. Like, who is the people? Because it's you and one other volunteer, and then who else is helping you out? Because the whole barricades, it's all the cones down the street. It's the cones to slow down the bikes. Who else? Who's helping you with this?
Yeah, it's definitely an operation. As you can see, we set it up and make sure that everyone's safe. The other business, or I should say the employees who work at the business here, the merchants, are helping us to set this up. So it's a great partnership between those who are volunteering as well as the merchants who are benefiting from the closed down streets. And they're just super helpful, super receptive to any sort of delegation of work. And yeah, they want to get this street closed down as quick as possible so they can get it open up to dining.
I'm here with Chef Nick Peters here at Curio, just picking his brain on how has everything been within the past 8 months?
Well, the past 8 months have been super challenging, honestly. I mean, the entire industry went from 100 miles an hour to 0 overnight. And then as we slowly started to get the capability to really bring some life back to San Francisco, there were other challenges in terms of how can you possibly run a kitchen with 6 feet in between your line cooks, your prep cooks. And so we had a lot of fun with that.
Did you do it?
We did it, yeah. Even to this day, every single shift, every single one of our stations is set up in kind of a traditional French brigade system so that we have all of our employees 6 feet apart. And it's what makes me feel comfortable coming to work every day.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I had no idea that it even applies to the kitchen staff. Wow. So you guys had how much kitchen staff at the beginning? I guess when you got here, can you explain how long you've been with Curio? Sorry. Can you explain how long you've been with Curio and the backstory, I guess?
Yeah, so actually just right before the pandemic, Jack, Patricia, and I were talking about what we could do to spin some things onto the Curient Chapel and Curio setup to really bring some extra life into the dining atmosphere of it. And right as we were coming to terms with that, the entire pandemic shut us down completely. So at the very end, we decided right around June 1st, we all came together and said, we're going to have an opportunity to bring the operation back into life. And so I came back on June 1st. Now, when we first started this, we had 3 people in the kitchen. It was me and 2 others.
And how many is it now?
So as of right now, between brunch and dinner, we've gotten up to 12 in the kitchen.
This is Manny. You may know him, might not. And he is in the hot seat today.
No!
You're here, girl.
No!
So,
Get me out of here!
first, shared spaces.
So proud.
We're in week 7.
7, I think,
It's going pretty well. It's going strong.
Okay.
But how did we get here? Where was the inception? It took a group of people, but we talked to a lot of the merchants, we talked to a lot of people, and they all agreed that you were the one that really spearheaded this and ran with this idea. So tell us, how?
But because you were listening in and watching me during all those calls when I would run up and down.
I'm not gonna lie, it was a little annoying.
The space, screaming. There was high voice levels reached.
The thing is though, I only heard one of the conversation, but I didn't hear the other components of it. So it was I knew you were doing it, but I didn't know how the foundation was getting laid out. I just met Robin, but Robin was in the conversation the whole time.
Yeah, and Robin actually wasn't in charge of shared spaces in the beginning. It was a really attractive man from OEWD named Ted Conrad.
Where's he at?
He's working on other projects right now.
Let's talk about the cones. How was that? Can you explain to us the process? We know how it is, but what's the process of shutting down a street? Where do we get the cones from? How long did it take us in the beginning? How long does it take us now? And all the work that goes into carrying our lovely, lovely cones.
Okay, so the schema for how this street would be shut down was given to us by the SFMTA. It is relatively simple. In the middle of the street, there's 2 lines of delineator posts. Those are those orange rubber posts. And then on the edge of either street, there's a set of road closed signs and barricades to prevent cars from driving in. It took us about 45 minutes to an hour in the beginning, and now it's 15 to 20 minutes. We're good. And what it does is it's creating a 26-foot long fire lane in the middle of the street, and it's called a fire lane because if in case of emergency, it's enough space for a fire truck to drive in and do its thing. On either edges of the cones is where the merchants are allowed to use, and then on either side of the street are the barricades to keep it safe.
How was the mayor coming here to Shared Spaces? How was that for you? Because for me, I was right there beside you, and I honestly blacked out kinda because there was so much going on, and I was just trying to keep people away to not get too close because we are in a pandemic. Paul, one of our superstar volunteers, had to remind me of that moment because he was watching everything and he was just everybody was just smiling. There was just good energy. People loved her there. And then I was so lost in it that I wasn't even noticing people smiling. I kind of saw it, but I was just okay, where's she at? Where's she at? Oh. But then he brought me back to that moment, and then I got chills because I was just oh yeah, people were so delighted to have someone who's been leading the city right in front of them and be okay, we're together on this.
Seeing her interact with the public was I was wow, oh my God, holy shit, you really know what you're doing, because she was able to instantly connect with people, especially San Franciscan, born and raised San Franciscans. It's an important program. It's the only program right now that's really giving a lot of ground floor commercial brick and mortar small businesses hope that they can make it. Yeah. And so I'm really glad that the mayor chose to spend some time with us and allow us to highlight the support of the program.
I'm Robin Abad-Alcabillo, and I'm the City of San Francisco's program manager for Shared Spaces, amongst many other things.
Why is it called Shared Spaces?
It's called Shared Spaces because this program is all about human beings.
That's us.
Us.
Presumably.
San Franciscans, our small business owners, our local merchants, sharing the public realm as part of our response, our resiliency response to the pandemic.
Is this precedented, this kind of thing? Has San Francisco done this before, where it gave away lots of public space for private use to save businesses? Is this the first time this has been done?
For the specific purposes of responding to an economic crisis, yeah, in a way, but another way to answer that question is to reflect on the ways in which San Francisco has always been a place of innovation, especially in terms of urban design, in terms of civics, the way that we want to use our public space.
So what Shared Spaces has done is take some of that public place and give it to small businesses to utilize to survive, right? What are for those who don't already know, what are the various pieces of the Shared Spaces program? What spaces can small businesses use right now creatively to survive?
There's, many different places. You can be out on the sidewalk, just in front of your own brick and mortar, say, restaurant or cafe. Or you can also go out into the street. So the curbside lane or the parking lane, that's sort of immediately in front of your business. Lots of merchants associations and other kind of community groups, neighborhood organizations, they're banding together to close down entire streets. So just as you know something about it?
I know something
a little
about
bit.
It.
Yeah, like the Valencia Corridor Merchants Association.
They're the best merchants association, I think, personally. Although I'm, a little bit biased.
Are you a little bit biased, maybe?
Yeah. What do you think is, in a non-pandemic crisis time, what do you think is the ideal amount of space that a small business utilizes that is not within its store? Because I think what a lot of people are seeing with street closures and Shared Spaces is this is great, this is cool. You and I just had a hot chocolate in someone else's shared space in Hawker Fairs. So we were drinking dandelion hot chocolate in Hawker Fairs, but we were in what was previously a parking space, and now you and I were having a connection, a moment in that space. And that was great. And I think a lot of people are utilizing these shared spaces, and of course they're appreciative that they exist right now during the crisis, but there are a lot of people are asking the question, why is it that we were always confining economic space to behind doors, and outside of those doors are used for these other things? So what do you think is the right mix?
Well, I think we're getting closer and closer to the right mix, which is as much human activity out of doors as we possibly can, right? Where before the only way we thought of using the street was only for cars, but we can see that there are so many other ways to use our sidewalks, to use the parking lane. So I think we're rebalancing as a city and kind of as cities, as urban environments in general, by turning more of this space over to, it could be private commercial activity, it could be arts and cultural and institutional uses as well. There could be so many different ways that we use the public realm, and we're starting to see that with shared spaces and similar programs. So.
Thank you so much for watching. We just want to give a special shout out to all the organizers, the volunteers, and the businesses that are helping with shared spaces. It means a lot to us. And we also want to plug that we have our victory booths ready. You can come in, make phone calls to swing states, and help elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Also, Manny's needs a little help right now, so if you want to help us out and become a sponsor, you can go to tinyurl.com/supportmanny's. Again, that's tinyurl.com/supportmanny's, and help us out. Thank you so much. Have a good week.